Good afternoon and welcome to our final Christmas Food Club. Before we go to Neil, I wanted to say a quick thank you to Stonebridge Farm and in particular to Betty Harding for donating the fresh fruit and veg, and also to Norseman Cheese who have donated their cheese for today's recipe. So over to Neil.
But if it's not too early, wishing you a happy Christmas. We're going to do a quick recipe today, which hopefully will be really useful in the future. We're going to make an all-in-one white sauce. We're going to flavour it with Mexicana today to make it nice and spicy. If you don't like spicy food, you can replace the Mexicana with any other cheese and just to mix and match. So I'll crack on, and then as we progress, I can talk to you a little bit about possible variations. This is weird because this is the first time I can see myself. Normally I can't, and it's putting me. So first things first, we're going to cook the pasta. So I've got 250 grams of pasta shapes here. These are just penne, but whatever you've got is fine. And I put a little bit of salt in there, so I'm just going to cover that with boiling water. And pasta shapes vary, so if you can cook it for as long as the instructions say, it's normally about 10 minutes. Okay, so I've just got that on. Hopefully that will simmer gently. Once it comes to the boil, just knock the heat down, and you want that just until it's cooked, but still got a little bit of bite, because once the pasta and everything's put together, it's going to go in the oven, so you don't want to overcook it, because it is going to carry on cooking when it's in the oven. So the next thing we need to do is pop your oven on. It is 180. Get that nice and hot, so as soon as everything's ready, it can go in and start melting and just browning off. So we'll start preparing the vegetables. Today, I'm using onion, a red pepper, and courgette. But this recipe can be adapted to use any leftovers. So this will be a perfect way of using up any leftover recipes on Boxing Day or beyond from your Christmas lunch. So we'll start with the onion. Housekeeping. If you've not seen this before, I just put a wet and wrung out J-cloth underneath the chopping board, and it stops it slipping around. We want you to have all your fingers. So I'm going to cut the onion in half. I've peeled the skin off. Right. Put the flat side down onto the surface of the chopping board, and then just put the knife through it. Keep moving your fingers back, and if you keep fingers clawed like that, you shouldn't chop anything off. Turn the onion round, go through the knife, and just you should end up with rough, small cubes of onion. This doesn't have to be too fancy. Chunk is really good. So do the same on the other half. And there we go. That's it, one roughly chopped onion. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of oil in my pan. I'll just do it by eye, but use a measuring spoon if you want to. Right, this is going to test me now. This is the new hob. So I'm hoping it makes a good noise, but it's a bit quicker than the last one. So that the oil's in there. I'll add the onion, and we just want to fry that for a few minutes before we add the other vegetables. Wow, this is so much faster than. Oh,
that's impressive. Good. That is impressive.
I'll just turn that heat down a bit. There we go. We want the vegetables to be softened, but not overly coloured. So keep an eye on them. This recipe is definitely going to involve a bit of multitasking, which is good. So, right, while they cook, I'm just going to prepare the courgette. So cut top of the tail off, cut it in half, and then I've got a nice flat side I'm putting down on the work surface or the chopping board, cut down through it, again, so it's quartered, and then again, fingers back, just go through it. You've got nice big fairly even chunks there. Well, this is ferocious. Right. I'll put those in the pan with the onions. Carry on with the other half of the dip. So if you're using leftover cooked vegetables, you can skip this bit because they've already been cooked. You can just cut them up into bite-sized chunks and they'll be ready to go into the cheese sauce and with the pasta once that's made. So that's looking good. So finally, the red pepper. So I've said a red pepper just for colour. It's Christmas, so red and green is great, but again, just use whatever you've got. So I cut that in half, use a knife to cut in around that core, lift it out, and then if you just beat the half over a plate so that you get any of the seeds out, and then cut it into fairly even sized pieces. Finish it off. So you want to cook these veg until they're cooked, but again, like the pasta, still got a bit of crunch. So between 5 and 6 minutes, I would have thought. You can just test them either with a knife or pick a bit up and just bite it. There we go. So if you're doing this at home, carry on cooking for a bit longer, but I'm going to take that off now so we can concentrate on the cheese sauce. Right. Here we go. So this, traditionally, if you were in a proper professional kitchen, a chef would melt the flour, put the melt the margarine or butter, put the flour in, create something called a roux, and then you add the milk bit by bit. This is cheating, but it works, and it just makes life a lot easier. So I've got 50 grams of butter, 25 grams of plain flour, and this is a pint or 570 mils of milk. And that could be whole milk, semi-skimmed, skimmed, whatever you use at home. And then the secret is you just use a balloon whisk just to bring that all together. Right, so this is what I'm going to try. You want it on a medium heat and you just keep stirring. So it can be a bit boring, but it's a lot easier than making a proper roux. So what's happening is as milk warms up, the butter melts and becomes liquid, and then that wraps around the flour. And then as the flour gets hot, as the milk begins to boil, that bursts, but it's protected by the fat. And you end up with a really nice, thick, but smooth cheese sauce. At the moment, when you see that, Russ, it's the fat's just floating on the surface of the cold milk. But as it melts, as it warms up, it will start to melt. So I'm going to increase that just a little bit. So what we can do is just add a little bit of salt and pepper while it's melting. You don't have to stir it all the time religiously. So you can kind of just dip in and out. But don't, you'll find that the flour settles to the bottom and it will catch. This is where we plan to do Christmas cracker jokes, but I don't think my multi-skilling is going to allow. Right, it is just, I can see the steam starting to come off the surface of the milk. It's all happening in there. So it's worth it. Just stick with it. You won't have any nasty surprises. What we want is a nice, smooth cheese sauce. You'll get there. So, Russ, you were telling me about the best Christmas present you could get.
Oh, yes, definitely. A broken drum.
And why is that?
Oh, because you just can't beat it.
You may want to turn off for a while because this is the standard.
That's as good as it's going to get.
This is a little bit like watching paint dry.
I was doing some Christmas shopping earlier, though, Neil.
Were you?
Yeah, I was on eBay.
What were you looking for?
Well, I saw these 2 reindeer, Prancer and Blitzen, for sale.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't bid on them though.
Why was that?
Oh, because they were too dear.
really
I don't know if that's your balloon whisk or me scraping the barrel of cracker jokes.
Right.
How's that looking?
We're getting there. It gets to that point. We need the milk to start really boiling, which to thicken. And I'm worried about increasing the heat because otherwise it could catch. But yeah, we're nearly there. I'll take it just a little bit more. So yeah, let me talk to you about this wonderful white sauce. So if you were making a lasagna, you could use the same sauce, but you just wouldn't add the cheese. You could make it sweet. So effectively, you could add some brandy and make a brandy sauce and some sugar for Christmas. So in essence, it's milk, fat, butter or margarine and flour. And it just creates a really, really great base for all sorts of dishes. So it's one of those things I'm really keen everyone can master because it's just so versatile. You can, I can now feel it. It's beginning to thicken on the base of the pan.
Let me zoom in.
It's something you probably can't really see, but it is just starting to thicken. It's this recipe doesn't make a really thick sauce, but the cheese itself thickens it. I must admit, when I'm at home, I never ever weigh anything out. I just chuck the flour in and chuck the butter in, margarine, and if it's too thick, I just add a bit more milk. But for the sake of today, we're going to do it properly. Everything's weighed out. Right, we're very, very nearly there.
That's lucky because I'm not sure anybody wants any more cracker jokes.
Right, I had a quick look at the pasta. It's still simmering over there. While that does that. Mm-hmm. Yep, I've still got a little bit of bite, so I'll turn that off.
So another zoom in at this. It's looking good.
Right. Where I'm using a balloon whisk, it's got lots of air in it. I'm frantically stirring. And you can do it with a wooden spoon if you want to, but the whisk just makes it a little bit easier. But unfortunately, I've created a nice foam on that. So it's just like a very, very thin custard at the moment. Nearly there. It looks like it's boiling. Yep, right. So that's it. I'm going to take it off the heat. So if you weren't going to cook this dish in the oven, what you want to do is just keep it cooking very, very low on the lowest heat and just keep it sitting just for about 5 minutes. And that cooks out the flour, so it takes away sort of the raw taste of the flour. But because this is going to be going in with the pasta and the veg in the oven, I think it's absolutely fine to not worry about that now because it'll be cooking a bit. This is going to have 100 grams of our spicy Mexicana cheese. That goes in. So it's off the heat now, but the heat of the sauce itself will just melt that cheese. So that's thickened it up as well. It's giving it some nice colour. So, I mean, this is quite thin, but it's going to go over all the pasta and the veg. So if it was too thick, it would just sort of all congeal. But now you can see it's like a nice loose consistency. So that cheese is now really melted. Next important thing, taste. So I've got a cold teaspoon. Just dip that in quickly, lift it out. And then it's not too hot when you put it in your mouth. I could do with a bit of salt and pepper. A quick stir. And then just back in. You better do it. We'll do another clean spoon. I would never do that at home. It would always be the same one. Right. That's fine. So the cheese is coming through. Again, if you want to add a bit more, you can. Everyone's got different tastes. So now it's starting to bring everything together, and then it can all go into the oven. So this is my biggest pan. One thing we didn't look for was a colander. I'll improvise. The strain, like for pasta. So I'll tip that over the veg. Mix that all together. Now, if your pan has got a metal handle, you could just pour the sauce straight into this and put that in the oven. I'm all about saving it, washing up. So here's our cooked chicken. This is actually canned chicken breast, so it's already in nice bite-sized pieces. But again, you could swap that for cold leftover turkey, but you could put tuna in this. You could really get as creative as you like, or don't put any meat in or fish and just go veggie. And finally then, I'm just going to pour over our cheese sauce.
Smells delicious.
So. Right, so there we go. That pasta's still slightly crunchy, so that will absorb some of the liquid as it cooks. And then just going to clean up around the edges. So finally then, to give this a little point of difference and a bit of crunch, of texture, I'm going to take another 100 grams of cheese, and I'll just sprinkle a little bit of that over the top. That's kind of creating a bit of a barrier between our tortilla chips, which I'm just going to crunch. So we're kind of creating like a nacho, cheesy nacho topping. Two to three handfuls. That's it. And then the rest of our cheese. So we got a pretty balanced meal here. Lots of veg, carbohydrate, protein. That's it. I don't know how long that took, but it's quite quick and easy. So I'm going to pop that into the oven, which is good and hot now, and give that 10 to 15 minutes, I think, and then have a quick look. I'm not sure. I've said 25 to 30. It depends. If you're using cold leftover vegetables and things, you might want longer. Ours have been fried, so they're already quite warm. So it just have a look after 10, 15 minutes and see. But what you want is a really nice, The cheese will melt, start to colour, and create a nice crunchy, cheesy topping. So we'll come back in a minute and show you what it's like when it's done. So we'll see you in a minute. Cheers.
I think actually, as we're probably live, we're probably going to hand back to Liz, because we're not going to continue live for 15. So I think that's just the cooking instructions, Neil.
Yep. Okay. So that's in 180 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes.
And that's it. So
and wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thanks ever so much, Neil. That was fantastic. Back to Liz.
Thank you for that, Neil. It looks absolutely yummy. I'll be looking forward to doing that over the Christmas period. We hope you enjoyed our Christmas Food Club sessions. We would love to see the photos of your creations, so please send them to us via Facebook, Instagram, or email to clark@banwellparishcouncil.org.uk. We would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Okay, so I've had a quick look, and this is looking golden and crunchy.
That is looking super.
And the sauce is bubbling, so that is ready to go. So
brilliant.
Give it a go, enjoy it, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Neil. That looks absolutely amazing. I can't wait to make it over the Christmas period. We hope you enjoyed our Christmas Food Club sessions this week. We would love to see your photos of your creations, so please send them to us via Facebook, Instagram, or email to clark@banwellparishcouncil.org.uk. We would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.